James Franklin, a 50-year-old war veteran, has been homeless for the past year. During his time serving in the Army, Mr. Franklin received multiple gunshot wounds, leading to permanent damage to his legs and his spinal cord, forcing him to be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. He tells the Sarasota Herald Tribune of April 16, 2014 that being in a wheelchair makes it hard for me to get a job. That is why I panhandle. On May 3, 2014, James was arrested and fined $65 for holding a sign that said, "Homeless vet, out of luck." According to a Think Progress article published September 19, 2014, James and thousands of other homeless individuals are being targeted by anti-homeless legislation acts that literally make it impossible for homeless individuals to function. In fact, a report released February 2014 by the National Law Center on Homeless and Poverty revealed that in over 150 cities across the country, anti-homeless legislation acts has been leading to excessive fines or even jail times for minor infractions. Now, these pieces of legislation criminalize anything but everything, from panhandling, sleeping on benches, or even sitting on sidewalks during peak business hours. Dr. Eugene Harfield, professor of sociology at the University of Chicago, explains that these laws do not decrease homelessness. They simply prey on those that are less fortunate. Moreover, in order to comprehend these issues, we must first reveal the causes that allow the criminalization of homeless to continue. Then, analyze the effects of the unjust practice, before finally propose some solutions to save those that are less fortunate. Now, April Adams, a mother of two, was sent to prison for disturbing the peace. Her crime, sleeping on the bench. Embarrassing stories like this stem from two causes. First, faulty perceptions of the homeless. And second, loosely written local ordinances. But first, let's talk about the faulty and irrational perceptions of the homeless. A survey conducted by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development in November 13, 2014, found that over 65% of Americans believe that homeless individuals aren't employed full-time. Dr. Peter Douglas, professor of sociology at the University of Chicago, explains that in Massachusetts, in 2008, thousands of homeless individuals were forced into homelessness as unemployment rose, but government housing and shelters did not. In turn, this created a huge increase in our homeless domestic population. More troubling are the sentiments and ideas that we hold toward those that are less fortunate. According to an NPR article published July 4, 2014, the general public has the belief that homeless individuals are nothing but lazy lepers that deserve to be on the streets and worthy of a cleanup, leading us to our second cause, loosely written local ordinances. The National Law Center released an eye-opening report. This report dissected anti-homeless legislation acts and found that ordinances, the laws that outline homeless, are purposely written in a way by any action by homeless individuals can be criminalized. For example, one can be jailed or fined for just sleeping under a bridge, or even sitting on a sidewalk when it is crowded. These vague laws literally make it impossible for homeless individuals to live in peace. The New York Times of December 13, 2014 tells the story of Crystal Vera. Usually, Crystal stays at a homeless shelter, but one night, the shelter was full. So when it was 2 degrees outside, she decided to sleep on a bench in the Central Park. Now, while sleeping, someone threw coffee and spit on Crystal. So when she got up and tried to defend herself, she was jailed and fined for disorderly conduct. In Detroit, George Frederick, a 60-year-old man, was brutally beaten. When he went to the police for help, he was fined over $1,000 because he was breaking the law by being out past 10 p.m., the city curfew for homeless. Cases like George unveil two effects: mistrust of outsiders in the homeless community and falsely branded as criminals. Initially, mistrust of authorities in the homeless community. According to the Boston Globe article published October 13, 2014, instead of these laws creating a safe environment, the homeless individuals simply refuse to reach out because they feel like they will be criminalized. The National Law Center report previously cited explains that legislation puts authorities and homeless individuals directly against each other, which is problematic to the homeless community since it's easy for them to be victimized. In order for them to get back on their feet, homeless individuals need to feel that homeless shelters and the greater community are there to help, not to hurt them. But this belief is impossible when simple acts like sleeping are subjected to fines and jail time. Leading us to our second effect. Homeless individuals are falsely branded as criminals. A San Francisco Chronicle article published May 14, 2014, argues that anti-homeless legislation acts forces law-abiding citizens to be wrongfully convicted permanently, labeling them as criminals. The National Law Center report previously cited explains that homeless individuals spend 4 months in prison after being arrested. Now this is extremely problematic because in addition with the stigma of being homeless, now these individuals must live with being labeled as a criminal, which has a significant impact on long-term employment opportunity. In turn, this creates an environment where it is impossible to defeat homelessness. More troubling, according to a Seattle Times article published June 5, 2014, every violation is not only met with jail time, but a hefty fine. Therefore, even if the violation doesn't get them arrested immediately, the ability to not pay the fine leads to more charges, which translates to increased jail time. We must wake up and protect those who have fallen down on their luck and cannot protect themselves. Luckily, solutions can be implemented at the governmental and individual level. But first, the governmental level. We must enact change at the local legislative level because the problem occurs at the local level. We are in a unique position to enact change in our community. In order to protect the homeless, contact your local representative and have them to enact a homeless bill of rights, a piece of legislation that ensures that the incarceration has decreased 35%, indicating that this piece of legislation is essential in protecting those that are less fortunate. Second, multiple solutions can be found at the individual level. First, we must work to debunk the myths that we hold toward those homeless individuals. So I encourage everyone that's hearing me right now to download the app HandUp. HandUp uses a GPS system to reveal the community centers and homeless shelters around your local area. More importantly, the app gives you the ability to donate directly to a homeless individual. 100% of your donations goes to medical care, homeless shelters, and other basic needs. Ignorance and discrimination is best avoided through education. In addition to this, I encourage everyone to volunteer at your local soup kitchen or homeless shelter. Because the harsh reality is that any one of us in this room can end up homeless. And if we did, we will hope that somebody will lend us a helping hand. Today, we have discussed the causes, effects, solutions surrounding the criminalization of homeless in our country. Individuals like James Franklin, Crystal Vera, and George Frederick should not have to feel like their lives are simply useless because they are not in a stable place financially. It is up to us to ensure that individuals like James can live peacefully and one day have one of our own basic needs, a home.